I've created an EKS cluster, and I ought to be able to now run the install the Helm chart, but there's a little bit of a problem, and we have to do a couple of extra steps. Let me show what the problem is, and then how to fix it. So I can show that I do have an existing cluster here, right? And I have my kubectl set up with my kube config file and everything. By the way, I have an alias for kubectl called K. So if you see me typing K, you know that I'm doing a kubectl. So if I do K get sc, this is going to give me a list of all the storage classes on this cluster. And this is what a default EKS cluster comes with, is it comes with this storage class called GP2. And so this is what we use to provision the persistent volume and the persistent volume claim for OpenSquiggly. And so what we ought to be able to do is we ought to be able to do Helm install, and I want to, let's say, install OpenSquiggly test 1, and I want to install that from OpenSquiggly. That comes from the repository that we've already attached, and I want to use the all-in-one chart, okay, and I want to set, and I want to do cloud type equals AWS, and disk size, let's say, equal to 5 gigabytes. And then what I ought to be able to do in order to get the OpenSquiggly Helm chart to use this existing storage controller rather than create its own storage controller, I ought to be able to say use existing storage class equals GP2. And this was going to look like it's going to work. All right. And so if I do K get sc, we see it did not create a new one. Okay. But if I do K, and if I do K get pods, let's say, notice how it says it's pending. The pod is pending. It's trying to come up. Okay. And the same thing for the deployment. If I do K get deploy, it's not ready yet. It's waiting. Something's stuck. All right. And in order to figure out what's stuck, let's say we do K get PVC. That's going to be the persistent volume claim. And notice that the persistent volume claim is still pending. That's where it's getting stuck because it's using this storage class GP2, but GP2 is not the type of storage class that automatically provisions and creates disk space automatically. So really, and then if I do K get PV, the persistent volume that's trying to use the persistent volume claim is not coming up, and that's causing the whole thing to get bunged up and to get stuck and not spin up. All right. So what we need, OpenSquiggly is kind of set up where the idea that it's going to automatically provision your disk space for you. So in order to get it to automatically provision your disk space, we have to install what's called the Elastic Block Store CSI driver. And that is an extra step. So we have to set that up first. So let me do a Helm uninstall on test 1 first. And that should make everything go away. Okay, so the PVC is gone. Helm chart's gone. Pods are gone. Deployment's gone. Okay, so once I uninstall that, everything's gone. All right, fine. So I'm back to a clean slate. All right, so now we have to do these extra steps. And so the first thing we have to do is we have to execute a command that's going to associate the IAM with the cluster. I'm not going to go into detail about what this is and why this is necessary, but we need it to do the next step. So say AWS cluster 1, and I can put in my region. region equals US 2. Probably don't really need that region, but let's see if that works. All right. Oh, I didn't do the approve. I got to put a minus approve on here. Okay, so it did that. Now the next thing I need to do is we need to create an IAM service account that's going to be the thing that controls the EKS add-on that we're going to install. All right, so let's look at this. So we're going to do EKS create IAM service account. So that means it's going to create, an Amazon service account. So we're going to put in our cluster name here. That's cluster 1, right? And the role name that it's going to create is Amazon EKS EBS CSI driver. So this name right here can be whatever you want it to be, but we're going to use it later. So it's best to just use the default unless you have a reason to change it. All right, minus role attached, and then this policy here is something that comes from Amazon. So this is not the name of your choosing. This is something that is needs to be specified as it's shown. Okay, and so if I hit enter on that, that should do some stuff. All right, that takes a couple of minutes or so. All right, and now we can use EKS Cuddle to create the add-on that's going to add the EBS CSI driver into the cluster. All right, so we're going to execute this command here, EKS Cuddle, create add-on, AWS EBS CSI driver is what we want. Okay, then we're going to put in the name of the cluster. Right, and then it's got this stuff here with the R and AWS IAM. This 111.222.333. This is going to be your the account ID of your Amazon account. So you have to go get that. I'm going to paste that in. I'm not going to show it, but I'm going to do that. And then this name here, Amazon EKS EBS CSI driver role. That's the name that this name we can control and change if we don't like it, but it has to be the same as from the previous command. All right, so I'm going to finish this up by putting my account ID in and finish this command. That's done. I didn't show the result. But I can verify the result by doing this last command here. And so here we're going to get the add-on, and then all I need to do is specify the cluster name, AWS cluster 1. All right, and that's going to verify that we do in fact have, it still says it's creating, so we should probably give it a minute or two to finish up creating this, but it's creating the EBS CSI driver. Just for good measure, we should wait until this status changes to active, and that might take a minute or 2 or 3. Okay, there, it's working and it's active. Okay, so now nothing apparently is going to change yet. If I do a kget storage classes, I still have the same GP2. It hasn't created a storage class, but that's okay because the open squiggly chart is actually going to create the storage class. All right, so now what we can do is do the Helm, re-execute that Helm install open squiggly test1, the same command we did previously, except this time we don't need to specify the storage class. We're going to let the chart all in one -set cloud type equal AWS, disk size equals 5. That means 5 gigabytes. And that's all I need to specify. And we're going to let the Helm chart do its normal thing and create the storage class for us. All right. And now if I do k get sc, the storage classes, all right, we see that the Helm chart created the storage class, and notice the provisioner is that EBS CSI driver, which is what we want. All right, and now if I do k get PVC, that's the persistent volume claim. We can see it created the persistent volume claim and it's bound. Okay, and if I do k get PV, the persistent volume that uses the persistent volume claim got created, and notice that it is the 5 gigabytes that we asked for. If I do k get pods, you see that it's still spinning up, but that's normal. If I do a minus minus watch on this, it will eventually go to the running state. Okay, and if I do k get deploy, the deployment says it's ready. All right, and then the last thing to check, if everything really truly did go okay, and I do k get SVC, that's I'm getting the list of services. We should see that it created a node balancer, which is the default. If you don't specify any other options, the Helm chart creates a load balancer for you, and we see that the load balancer has an external IP address associated with it. And so we could now go hit this with our browser, hit this external IP address with our browser, and the open squiggly instance will come up and the login screen will come up. So that's working. So that is the trick in order to make sure that it doesn't get hung up on that persistent volume stuff. You've got to do those steps to add in that AWS EBS CSI driver. Kind of an extra step. Other Kubernetes providers don't have that, so it's definitely a little extra work you have to do with Amazon versus other providers. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching.